Hello, welcome to section 9. So, while we're coming to the end of this course, it's very important that we start to look at, or rather, that we look at some very important concepts. Now, this section, we're going to look at production ready blog and some minimalistic blog, as much as we're going to still do a project or a bigger project, maybe a more robust blog platform, API, and all of that. So, the one we have, we're going to make it production ready. Our goal is to actually learn some of these things and understand the core concept underlying them. Then we do a full-blown project. Right. Now, getting this production ready with background task. Now we're going to learn how to implement Celery and Redis for asynchronous email notification and improve response time. We're also going to have to do a comprehensive testing, and we're going to see how to do a production, some configurations we need to do on our email aspect. Now, by the end of this section, I expect that you transform the application into production ready system, background email notification using Celery and Redis, then a comprehensive test suite covering models, views, endpoints. The key learning outcomes is for background, integrate Redis, create comprehensive tests for our application, and configure our settings. Right. Now, the key technologies we're going to use include Celery, Redis, and then, of course, our testing. What is Celery, you could ask? Now, Celery is actually a Python module. It is used for distributed tasks that enables execution of long-running process outside the main application flow. So this is how your Celery works. For instance, you make a request that will take quite some time. Let's say, for instance, on an admin level, you want to send email to all the users on your platform, for example. Such service, you don't expect to wait till it's over to return. I mean, your API gateway might time out, and there are lots of other factors that could go wrong. So the ideal way to go about this is to send a response to the client, allow the server to send a response, and then on the background, an operation continues. That operation that continues is what we refer to as a background operation. Now, Celery is used for this distributed task queue. So it queues task, any task that's made or that's sent to the background. Celery is responsible for queuing it. And then we need actually a message broker, something that is actually responsible for handling those tasks that are queued by Celery. And this is what Redis does. So Redis serves as the message broker, facilitating communication between the Django task producer and Celery workers, right? So this is the message broker that interfaces these two and make sure that they are working seamlessly, right? So we're going to look at how to work with Celery, how to work with Redis, and all that have you. Now let's get right into it. Let's get to our code. Like I would always tell you, learn to reference your documentation. So we're going to look at Celery documentation. So we're going to open that. I'm going to work with that now so that we'll understand thoroughly how to do this. All right, so getting started. Right, introduction Celery. So I'm looking for us to configure this. We're looking for an appropriate documentation for us to work with. Right, so this is how you actually go through your documentations to find a better or a proper guide as to follow. So this is using our RabbitMQ. This is another kind of broker but what we would prefer to use is Redis. So go to Redis. So with Redis application, so here we have first steps with Django. Let's look at that. Right. So you can see we're working with Django. This is Celery. So we want to check the ones or the settings particular to Django. Now, the first thing, like you know already, is to install a Celery. That should be pip install Celery, right? Ensure you're in your local or your virtual environment before you make the installation. Right, so having installed Celery, so let's also pip install Redis. So you make sure to install this. So having installed these, going to let's click this. Right, so we're going to, having installed them, we're going to follow this documentation. You can see that it's compatible with Django. We're going to work with Django configurations. Then let's follow closely. If you have a modern Django layout, so this is our Django layout, we're asked to create a file, celery.py. So we go ahead here. We're going to create a file, celery.py. Then we're asked to put this in our settings, right? So if we look at this, this sets the environment. So we're going to change this to my project because that's what we have as a project name. So change this to a project Celery. Right, so with this, we're good to go. And we can see the next thing in our init.py. You can see that this will make sure the app is always imported when Django starts. So it's necessary that that's included in our init whenever our Django is run. Right. So from there, you can see that this refers to your project directory, or rather your project environment. So it's necessary you have that set. Right. So I'm going to, on our settings.py, we're going to add some settings to from some settings which we've been asked to do here. Right, so that's literally what I'll need. You could, or you might want to continue to read through to have a broader understanding. Then Celery bit also, scheduling bit. So this is bit configurations we're asked to do. So you'd want to set your Celery Booker URL. And right, so for us now to actually, so these are the a time zone. This is not my time zone, so I'll prefer to remove. These are not entirely necessary. So the major thing is to have your Celery Booker set, and remember we're using Redis. We've installed our Redis, so we can comfortably use Redis, and you can see this a localhost. So the next question becomes, how do we actually get to set up Redis broker? I would like to get a guide from here. Love to get guide that will guide you in setting up your Redis. Right, so let's get this. Should be your guide. right? So we have this already.